Well, welcome to the very first Poetricity live event for 2025. I don't know about you, but 2024 felt like it went quickly.
It did.
Um,
Oh, I need to get something.
yeah, sure. Um, but well, here we are. And I'm going to start with a very, actually, I'm going to start with this one. This piece is called Paying Attention.
Why am I
Hello.
why am I disorganized? I need a pen because I like to doodle. I like to doodle I doodle a lot when I'm listening. It helps me to listen.
I'm hearing you. Can't see
So
much of your head now, but I can hear you.
yeah,
Right.
I don't know what I've
Okay.
done there. Oh, I need to do this. I need to click this. That's it.
Okay. Right, so this piece is called Paying Attention. May I have your attention, please? That is the question asked of me. Not my intention to cause any tension, just need you to pay attention to me. I have something to mention that warrants your undivided attention. No need to stand at attention, just as long as there's no distraction that undermines your robust intention to garnish all of the information that is present in my presentation. I trust that you'll be filled with elation, your attention repaid by your edification, and I grateful for your total attention. I'll read that again, paying attention. May I have your attention, please? That is the question asked of me. Not my intention to cause any tension, just need you to pay attention to me. I have something to mention that warrants your undivided attention. No need to stand at attention just as long as there's no distraction that undermines your robust intention. To garnish all of the information that is present in my presentation, I trust that you will be filled with elation, your attention repaid by your edification, and I grateful for your total attention. What are you hearing?
I'm seeing rather than hearing.
Okay, go on.
When people want to talk to you and tell you something, they want you to keep looking and not have your eyes in other directions around you. They want you to pay attention.
Uh,
But I'm not sure, what does the word edification mean?
I am surprised. I mean, that is a well biblical kind of word, edification. Uh, it just means to be
Don't be
edified.
surprised at me, Frank. I'm still learning.
That's only pulling your legs. Right. So edification is to be edified, which means to be built up, to be, yeah, to be built up is probably the best word. To be edified means someone deposits something from which you gained benefit and you were all the better for it. That's the idea behind it.
So, so if you pay attention and listen to what the person is saying, we'll be repaid.
Yes, by the edification that comes from what they were saying because you paid attention to it.
Is that always true?
Not necessarily, but I'm willing to hear your other view on this.
It depends what the person's telling you, doesn't it, really? Whether it edific, edifies you or not.
Good shout. I like that.
I just got the word being focused
Right.
because when you focused on something, when you direct your attention and focus on something, it opens up the possibility of you learning more.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that. Which goes back to Muriel's point. We can't guarantee edification, but it opens up the opportunity for that edification. I think yeah. Same old. Anything else?
Um, that was kind of it, really.
Yeah.
But I think you see when Claudette speaks, hers is more edifying and educational. She's more focused.
Right.
We all got something to bring to the table, Miro. It don't matter how we bring it.
I
Yeah.
know, but it's probably your age. You're much more with it than I am, you know.
Right. So the use of the word more, what does that in comparison to, Muriel?
Well, even the words that she said, they were sensible, you know.
Yeah.
That's what I say. She, you know, to be focused was really what it's all about.
Hmm.
Keeping your eyes on what the person's saying, and if you want to be edified, yeah.
Yeah. And going back to that point as well, if you haven't paid attention, you don't know whether what's being said is edifying or not, right? So ultimately, that still is the foundation for the opportunity. And so actually, that attention may be repaid by your edification rather than definitely will be, which is good. I've got some good things I can use on this piece actually. So thanks for that. Anything else coming up?
Also, I would add that you have to be intentional sometimes
Hmm.
in terms of paying attention. You have to be intentional because there's so many things that can distract you.
Hmm.
That automatically comes to distract you when you're
Hmm.
trying to pay attention to something. That sometimes you can miss things because of those distractions. So sometimes you have to be intentional in I'm going to pay attention to this or I'm going to focus on this. So I think there's an intentionality in the whole thing.
I like that. I like that.
Why did you use the word robust?
Yeah. So it's a good word. Why do you think, or what does robust mean to you when you look at it in that context?
I'm not very good with meanings and things. Robust
Okay.
means um I don't know, what does robust mean? I don't know.
Yeah. So robust in that context means attention that is resilient. So actually, like even when it feels like you're being distracted, you bring it back. So robust. When they use robust, you normally use it in that it's like you belts and braces. That's a good way to put it. It's not flimsy. It's not like it's easily done away with. It can withstand pressure. So it's almost like saying an attention that can withstand the pressure of distraction, if you want to put it that way.
Well, for my repentance, I know two people, if they start talking, I have to really keep focused because I know it's all going to be heavy.
Okay, I hear that. Again, like I've always said, but the awareness is a beautiful piece. Once you're aware of that, then you bring robustness to your attention because you know there's a tendency for that distraction. Um, Anything else? Right. Let's look at this next piece. This one is called Profundity. Amazing how profound this piece can be, resonating in frequency, the closer it gets in proximity to the experience of your current expediency. I'll read that again. This is Profundity. Amazing how profound this piece can be, resonating in frequency, the closer it gets in proximity to the experience of your current expediency.
Can I say that's a tricky word? I can't even pronounce it. Profundity. It's a tricky word, but because it can mean quite a few things.
Okay, give me a few. Give me a few things that you think it could mean.
Insight,
Yeah.
knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
um, quality,
Mm-hmm.
um, a state of being.
Mm. Yeah. All of those work. All of those work. Apart from the trickiness of the word, what else do you think?
No, it takes me long enough to pronounce the word.
Uh,
Can you read it again, please?
sure. Profundity. Amazing how profound this piece can be, resonating in frequency, the closer it gets in proximity to the experience of your current expediency.
I don't understand it.
Okay, that's fine. That's what I'm here for, but I like to give people a chance to kind of play around with it. Does any word stand out for you, Muriel, in there?
I was just thinking, could you rewrite it in simple English?
Um, Unfortunately, the play, the play on it and the rhyme in it requires it to kind of flow like that. So I think I always carried the risk that this would land for some people and not others, depending on if some of those words feature in your day to day or in your field of influence. So I, I, I accept that risk and understand that's might be where we are, but that's fine. I'm happy with that. I'm happy to explain what it's pointing to, if that's helpful.
Well, I just would like to meet those people it lands with because they must be very intelligent.
Okay, maybe it's just me then. Maybe I wrote it to myself. Okay, so. So the word profound, are you happy with that though? In terms of like profound being when knowledge and insight hits you and you think, wow, that's what profound is. That's that kind of, wow, I've never seen that like that before. Wow, yeah, that
Yeah,
really
the word wide's good. Wow. Yeah, I understand that.
is. So this piece can be resonating in this piece can be resonating in frequency. So resonance and frequency come together. So frequency is like when things move together at the same frequency, you have something called resonance, which means they move together, they align. So when someone says something that catches you, it means you are resonating with what they said. That's why it feels wow to you. And that is that whole sense of wow, that is profound because there was a resonance. There's a you your understanding went to the frequency of the person who was speaking, and there was a coming together. And that's how come you comprehended and took within yourself the impact of what's being communicated. Is that good so far?
Yeah.
That's simple. That's easy. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So so the point there is the closer it gets in proximity, proximity being the closer things get, right? Proximity is this thing is close to, right? How close is it, right? To the experience of your current expediency. Expediency, I'm assuming experiences are clear to everyone. Expediency is this idea that something is relevant and needed right now. Relevant and needed right now. That's what expedience is, right? So in other words, I need this to happen expediently is like saying I need this to happen as soon as possible. Yeah.
Hmm.
So with all the things I've broken down, if you read the piece again, does it make any more sense? Or at least what are you getting from it with the breakdown that I've just given?
Yeah, that's helpful. Hmm. Thank you.
Anything coming up for you on this one, Claudette?
Something. Is it a bit like when somebody hits the nail on the head?
Right. It's that feeling you get when
Yeah,
it feels like somebody hit the nail on the head. That
the
it,
head.
it is, yeah, that I love the way you put that. It is kind of like that. Like, wow, yeah,
Yeah,
you nailed
yes,
it. That is it.
that
Right.
is it.
But what the piece is actually trying to provide is the mystery behind how that happened and why that happens. And a lot of times we ascribe profundity, like this thing is profound, but sometimes we've heard those things before, but we just paid attention at that moment, which is the link between the first piece and this one, and our situation and context in which we find ourselves has something related to what's been said. Do you see what I'm trying to say? So
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
so the more relevant something is to a situation you have experienced or you are, the more likely it is that that thing is going to sound so profound. We normally think it's just the thing that was said that's so profound. So we ascribe all of the value to the person speaking. But we fail to see that actually it's we paying attention and what is being shared being relevant or at least something that we can relate to strongly. Does that make sense? Hey,
Mhm.
Johnson, you're on mute, by the way, just in case you're not aware.
Yeah, I know. Hello.
Oh,
Hello, how
hi.
are you? So good to see
Hi.
you.
Hello, Miro. Yeah, hello, Claudia.
Hiya.
Good afternoon.
So we were just literally, I've just put the piece back in the chat because when you join, you don't have the history of the chat. But we were talking about this piece on profundity. And I was trying to just explain it, that it's us seeing that when things appear profound to us, we it's helpful to reflect on what about our experience and where we are that makes it profound to us, and not ascribe all the profoundness to the person speaking. Because the person speaking might just be stating a round of the mill fact that is out there, but because of where you are and the state you're in and the place of attention that you're in and intention you're in, it just hits you. And that creates that sense of profundity, which means anybody can be profound, including yourselves. And it's just if and that's why you can be in a group or like, let's take the church setting because we're all familiar with that. Someone preaches and people react to it differently. To some people, it's the best thing since sliced bread. To some people, they can't really just catch what's happening. Well, it's the same speaker. So it's not just about the person who spoke. It's about the people, the state, the place in life, and the way those people are able to relate to what's being said. So
Yeah.
that really is what that's about. Um, Anything come up for you on that, Johnson?
No, that's very true. Because obviously I could say I see it from both sides, both in the front and listening as well. And it's true because it's at the point of reference where you are at is how you can relate to what is being said. And to you, it might sound profound. To someone else, it might say, "No, I've been through that. I've seen it before." Yeah. So it all depends on the experience of the person receiving what was being said. And even the person who's saying it probably haven't even experienced it, but they've picked it from somewhere that they relate to. So even before they experience it, they put it out as if it's a profound experience and a profound statement that they've picked up themselves as well. So I can relate to both, and that's quite true. Yeah.
But I suppose the thing I would say to that though is I think profundity is the judgment of the person listening, because
that's true.
It's a judgment of the person listening, not so much. I mean, to me it's profound, but it doesn't mean it's going to be profound to you, basically.
Yeah. True. Yeah.
Okay, let's do this one. This one is called Listen. I'm going to read it. Nudging, nagging, prompting, pointing, seeking my attention. Though so easily ignored, speaking without words, the voice of intuition, bearing wisdom so divine, listen like life depends on it. I'm going to read that again. Listen. Nudging, nagging, prompting, pointing, seeking my attention. Though so easily ignored, speaking without words, that voice of intuition, bearing wisdom so divine, listen like life depends on it. What are you hearing?
I'm hearing it's like a wife talking to her husband.
I trust you, Muriel, to go.
That is the first thing that occurred to me, and I said I can't really say that.
Oh well, clearly, you see, Muriel is gone past caring, so she will say it, which I love.
I hope you're not speaking from experience, Frank.
Oh, absolutely. I'm absolutely speaking from experience. But it depends on who's doing the talking. So we need to look a bit deeper into that one. But you're right that phrase, that word nagging tends to be related to that context, but it's not the only context in which it applies.
Where you could say, especially from our background of having parents always nag their kids.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I mean, I'm older now, so my kids don't do it to me, but I've done to my parents before, saying, I'm sure the Bible says parents don't exaggerate your kids. And then I get to work for it.
Amazing how useful the Bible can be for stating your case, isn't it?
But yeah, but nagging, you see it as something negative.
Right.
But the first bit, nudging, is the same sin, but you see it as someone guiding.
I love that. And that is the reason why I put them both in. I put them both in exactly for that reason, because the nagging tends to be the definition of the person on the receiving end.
Yeah.
You rarely find the person going, I'm about to nag you. It rarely is the case. They'll just say, well, I said it. Maybe you look like you didn't pay attention, so I'm saying it again.
Yeah.
Which, again, when you look at it, that's kind of the context we've got there. Anything else coming up on this?
I've got them down as attention-seeking devices
I like that. Attention.
and different ways of attracting attention.
Yeah, I hear that.
Interesting. Yeah, didn't see that.
Attention-seeking devices.
When it says speaking without words, it reminds me of my neighbor. He was talking to his son, and he said, "Your face is saying yes. No, you're saying yes, but your face isn't saying yes." I don't know what he means.
Yeah,
I love that. Yeah, man, those are micro cues, isn't it? So that consciously you think you should say something, so you say it, but you're given away by the micro cues of your expressions and things like that. So no, I hear that. Anything else?
And I like the line where it says, though not easily ignored, because nagging is not easily ignored, is it?
Actually says something opposite to that. It said, though so easily ignored.
To ignore the
Saying the
ignored.
opposite. Yeah. It's saying, this can be easily ignored.
But it depends on who. Depends on who is the one who has to ignore it. Because some people find that difficult, find these things difficult to ignore.
No, I hear you. And what you're hitting at is that I think when we've come into the piece, we've set a context to it. And there's another context that's at play here. And for us to cross over, we'll need to switch that context. So have a look, especially look at the last three lines and see what you're saying.
Yeah.
There.
Especially, I like the last line, the bit that says, listen like life depends on it.
Yeah.
And obviously, it's from the person who's receiving the nudging, the nudging, the prompting, the nagging.
Yeah.
It's that person receiving it in the spirit in which it's given, that, look, I'm showing you the way.
Right.
So, and you applying that, actually, what is being shown to me is so important that it's life-changing.
Right. And I love the way you've interpreted life depends on it not necessarily being as existential life depending on it, but actually the fact that actually the quality of life you're going to experience is going to be impacted by your ability to listen to what this is.
Very similar to proverb, isn't it? Son, listen to something what your father's saying, because it will guide you in the way of life or something like that. Somewhere in proverb. Yeah.
And it's very much wisdom from that kind of source. That is what's being pointed to here. Yeah. Thanks. Anybody else on this?
What do you mean by existential life? I don't understand these big words.
Existential life means that your very existence depends on it. So it's almost like something's about to. If you don't listen to what's being said, you will die.
Life and death.
Which is not necessarily the context, even though it may read like that. It is really talking about quality of life.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just thinking I should have listened more at school to get these big words right.
Like you say, it's never too late. As long as you're open and willing to ask the question, that's the important piece.
Okay, thank you.
Right. So just to move this forward, then the line that really contextualizes the whole piece is that voice of intuition. That literally is all this is talking
Yeah.
about. Because what I found in my experience, at least, that is the voice that's so easily ignored. Because it's not loud in your face like another human being going blah 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 blah. It's not that. It's like that nudging that, and the nagging piece again is not as we contextualize nudging. It's that idea that it comes and then it keeps coming because you're not getting that message. So you it's trying to just keep nudging you and nudging you and nudging you. So that and that kind of thing. The prompting, the pointing, it's subtle. So again, it's that whole idea of how do you pay attention and open yourself off for profound inspiration
Yeah.
by listening at the level where something that is subtle, you still get it. And it doesn't have to, you don't have to end up in some sort of crisis for you to get it. Anything else on this before we move on? Right. Okay. So next piece is called Universal Wing. Contemplating my course of action, the voice of intuition said yes. Armed with those reasons, the ones that made sense to me, left to my belief, so sure I had a clue. I may know what I want. Do I know what I need? None the wiser what awaited me. Sweet bliss of ignorance was my defense. Trust my shield as the universe delivered, more than I could have ever imagined. Winking at me with a knowing smile in service of my highest good. I'm going to read that again. Universal wink. Contemplating my course of action, the voice of intuition said yes. Armed with those reasons, the ones that made sense to me, left to my belief, so sure I had a clue. I may know what I want. Do I know what I need? None the wiser what awaited me. Sweet bliss of ignorance was my defense. Trust my shield as the universe delivered more than I could have ever imagined, winking at me with a knowing smile in service of my highest good.
Mm.
That sounded like a knowing there, Johnson. Like I'm
No,
hearing you, brother.
I think
obviously, you're always looking at your experience, and you look back at what you've been through and some of the decisions you've made and the reason you've made them. Um, but I like that bit that says, "None the wiser what awaits me,"
Mm,
because some of the decisions you make on spot is because you believe that what you're making is good for you. And at that point, it seems to be the right decision. And then as you look back now, I just said, actually, looking back now, probably wasn't the wisest decision, but you've come out of it. You still come out of it because it hasn't killed you. But if you had to go back, you wouldn't go through that process again.
interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting reflection on that. So I'm hearing about that thing of the belief you held at the time,
Yeah.
and then when the outcome comes, may not necessarily be the same. But I love the fact that you're saying, well, you're still here. You're
Yeah.
still here for another day. Yeah, I hear that. Claudette, you were going to say
I
something.
I think the key to this one is the last two lines.
Yeah, go on.
Winking at me with a knowing smile in service of my highest good. And I think that's to do with God sometimes, right? He wants to reassure us that we're making the right decisions or we're on the right path.
Mm,
And sometimes he's trying to nudge us that way to give us that reassurance that yes, go ahead and do that. That is
mm,
from me. It's
mm,
going to turn out good.
mm.
Whether we see it or not is another thing. But
Right.
I think God is always there trying to show us, give us that wink. Yeah, yeah, you're okay. Do that.
I like that. I like that. And yeah, no, I really do hear that. So now we're talking about reassurance, and again we're looking at the gap between what we believe at the time and what comes out later.
The outcome. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also the whole idea that it's still for our good, whatever it is. That I'm hearing that. Yeah. Muriel, anything from you?
Well, yes, I've majored on that none the wiser that awaited me, and it takes me back to when Wilbert was 3/8 of an inch too small for the RUC.
Mm-hmm.
He decided to go for the Metropolitan Police,
Mm-hmm.
and so when he came over and then he proposed, and I came over when we got married, I didn't know what awaited me, but I have to say it was sweet bliss when I met all of you in my
Oh,
journey. And I do feel God was winking at me with a knowing smile, and he still is.
oh, that's beautiful. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. And yeah. And to be honest, this is where this piece came from, is that whole idea of how we, and I think there's something in the Bible that talks about that whole the plan in a man's heart and whatever. But in the end, God kind of executes what he wants to execute, right?
Yeah.
Um, and in the context I'll bring into this is this idea when you go through difficult situations, and to you it feels like, well, like Johnson was saying, you made those decisions or whatever in the best interest at heart, it doesn't work out, but God still finds a way to make it work for your highest good. And
Yeah.
that highest good may be you're now more aware and more, pay attention more to those kind of contexts when you meet them again. You now have tools that allow you to make better decisions and judgments around those things. It helps you also appreciate when things are going good because you've experienced what it's like when it's
Yeah.
not. And so there's so many angles here. So I think one of the things I was trying to invite us into really was this whole idea of don't, I know the mind tries to tell us that we know everything and we can predict everything and whatever. And it's the mind doing all of that. But that even we should make peace with the fact that we're not going to know how everything we go into is going to turn out, but still trust that somehow God will make it turn out for our highest good. And that God sees that and is with us in it, even when it feels rough or not. And when we come out on the other side, when we look back, that is the sense of gratitude we have for his guidance, his help, his support through it all. So that kind of is the context there. Anything else from anyone else on this? Okay. I'm going to put this one in. This one is called Let It In. Notice the love, pain, and grief. Let it in. Do not shrink. Expanding the connected you, alive to all that is here for you, so you can feel it all too. I read that again. Let it in. Notice the love, pain, and grief. Let it in. Do not shrink. Expanding the connected you, alive to all that is here for you, so you can feel it all too.
That's deep.
Mm,
That is to compare love or to include love, pain, and grief in one sentence
mm,
or in one experience is, how will I put it? It's a very deep thing because
mm,
it's saying don't shrink away from it.
mm,
So you've got pain,
mm,
you're going through grief, you've
mm,
still got the love. And the reason why I'm saying is because during the week, one of my colleagues I saw last week, Friday, his
mm.
husband died on Monday or was it Tuesday?
Wow.
I'm still trying to find out the reason why. Because when I saw them on Friday, he was all fine. It's my colleague.
Wow.
But the only thing that had kept her going till yesterday
Mm,
is the love that surrounded her.
mm,
I've put her name before on the leadership something to pray with because she's the one who went through IVF 3 years ago or
mm,
2 years ago. No, 3 years ago, was having twins. They were premature. One of the twins died. The other one couldn't leave the hospital for a whole year. So the baby only came out of the hospital last year, May.
mm.
and after through that pain, and now her husband has passed away.
Wow.
Sorry.
So she's got grief, she's got pain, but when I spoke to my boss yesterday, the only thing keeping her going as of yesterday was the love of the neighbors and her friends around her.
Wow.
Because otherwise she wouldn't, my boss would say she wouldn't know how to cope.
No, I hear that. Yeah.
So I was just looking at that, just putting my colleague in this place now,
Mm.
and now to say, be alive to it all.
Mm.
So you can feel it all. It's something I probably can't relate to as much. I can see it in other people because maybe I haven't been through that, but to include all those emotions in one something all at one go, love, pain, and grief, is something that probably a lot of people won't be able to deal with.
Yeah. And I hear that. I really do hear that. But then that's why these pieces exist, to have these conversations. How can you? Is it possible?
Is it possible? Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Anybody else?
I just hope for that colleague of yours that the love is more prominent than the pain and the grief that sweeps over her. But I would say, well, from my point of view, personally, I would let it go. You have to let it go. But then I know who to give it to. I don't know if your colleague has any faith. So
she does. Yeah, she does.
good. Because that's the only way to get through it, is to let it go and give it to the Lord. But it's a journey, and it doesn't stop there. You have to continually, learn to let it go, hand it over. So that really is tough for her. Thank God she's got a faith. Thank God.
Yeah,
And
she's my
people
Christian
around her
sister
as well.
at work.
Yeah.
Anything from you, Claudette, on this one?
I just think sometimes when we're in certain situations that are painful and not nice, we need to sometimes allow ourselves to feel the pain, to feel the grief, and we need to accept that's what we're going through, and not try and bury it or deny it, because I think like acceptance is one way of finding healing or light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that. And if I'm honest, that's really is what the piece is pointing to, is that sometimes, and especially we people of faith, we can be very good at actually using our faith to deflect from experiencing. And that energetically doesn't work. That's denial.
Yeah.
It's present, it's there, and the one who designed us to be able to experience all of them. That's why I put all of them on one line. We may not understand how come or why. We might like to cherry pick one above the other, but the reality is those things are there now. We can acknowledge that it's there now. Now here's the distinction here. It does not now define us going forward.
That's true.
It doesn't define us going forward, but we can accept that it's here now. And here's the other thing that's interesting about this. Very often the pain and the grief is because love exists. That's why we experience pain and grief.
Yeah. The deeper the love, the deeper
the
the
deeper the
grief.
love, the more the pain and the grief. So the pain and the grief is pointing you back to love.
Yeah.
Saying this is how much this person was loved, that I'm feeling this. Now here's the thing. When we let it go through, believe it or not, counterintuitively, that's the shortest route to processing it out.
Wow. Okay.
Rather than when we actually create this, oh no, it's not happening. I'm favored and highly blessed. No, I am this, that, and the other.
Yes. God is my strength, and I don't have to.
Yeah.
You've known too many Nigerians.
Yeah, you're not being true to what's here now. I am feeling this because I cared and loved about this person, and it makes sense that this is here.
but also because that's why sometimes people shut down and don't share what they're going through.
Mm,
Because sometimes, especially among Christians, sometimes
mm.
if you say certain things, they're going to say, "Well, yeah, but the Lord is your strength.
Yeah,
Lord is
yeah.
your joy." Da,
How
da, da,
can
da,
you
da,
be in
da.
pain and grief? You have
Yeah,
no faith. Your
yeah,
faith is
yeah,
not
yeah,
strong enough.
yeah. How can you be like that? So sometimes that can deter people from sharing and being honest when people say, how are you? You're dying in your hearts and you want to say something to someone, but you know what's going to be said back to you, so you don't say anything.
Yeah, yeah,
Or you react because you think that is how people think you should react.
yes,
Yeah.
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 Oh,
I
you're
think
great. Yeah, sorry.
Go on,
no,
Mira.
go ahead, Johnson.
Oh, I wanted you to feel. Oh, okay. I was. I remember there was a situation where the family that I was living with, the young daughter, the mom had to show panic until we found the daughter. And after we went down and sat down and said, I had to show panic, even though I wasn't panicking, because I knew God had kept her. But I couldn't show that calmness because everybody else was losing their mind. So she had to act as if she was losing her mind.
Oh, that is interesting.
Even though in herself, she said she was calm in herself with
Right,
everything going around because she knew her daughter couldn't have just gone missing, that God will protect her. But
right.
because everybody was mad and crying and screaming, she had to act as if in the moment. But she only said that after seeing everybody had left. Just
That's
said,
curious.
I wasn't panicking, but how to show that I was panicking.
Yeah, that is curious. I'm not too sure where that's coming from. Um,
I think everyone's situation is different and we're
mhm,
all different, and that's the diversity of us all. I
that's true.
mean, when we say the Lord is our strength, we know the truth of that, but it's not always appropriate, maybe in every situation, to share those things. But we know
Mhm.
the truth, and we know that it's there for us. And but I'm thinking, I know of two people that I'm really praying for at the moment. One of them, she's a lady, and she's angry with God because she's out walking with her husband and he drops dead with a heart attack.
Mm,
So she's angry with God. She's got a faith, but she's angry with God because it's his fault. Why don't
mm,
they? But that's trauma,
yeah.
even, you
Mm.
know?
Hmm.
So it's working through those different things. And then the other girl, well, she moved home and she thought it was going to be better than it was. So now she's angry with God. We can't, you know, that blocks us. That really blocks us from the Lord's love, really, and realizing that He loves us, whatever. And there is a twinkle in His eye for all of us. All of us. We have
That's
to
exactly
find
the
that
point. That's
twinkle.
the point I was going to make. Yeah, brilliant. Thanks for
Yeah.
sharing that. Actually, that really pulls that piece back into the fore, isn't it? That
Mm.
there's a universal wink going over those people,
Yeah.
but they have not let that truth in, so they're experiencing emotions. And I say these things: emotions are real, but they're not facts. Right?
Yeah.
Emotions are real, but they're not facts. What do I mean by that? Is sometimes the emotion you experience is because of the way you have perceived or interpreted things, right?
That's
So there's
true.
this idea that, and sometimes we make the rod for our own backs because of the teachings we give people. That, if you say to people, God fixes everything and nothing ever goes wrong, if something goes wrong, they get disappointed and start looking for who to blame for it, right? Because in our books, God can't be in any of that. God can't be in any of that. But I don't know where we get that information from. Because if you read the Bible, you will find out that people lived, people died. Some people died before their time. Some people died, bright old age. All sorts of things. There's nothing we're experiencing now, as in what happens to people that didn't happen back then, and none of that
Yeah.
invalidated the concept of a loving, caring being who knows how to bring us through all that, how to guide us through all that. And 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 very often when we go back to what Muriel is saying there, those people, how do you think they are in the space of the nudgings that's trying to come to them to kind of get them to look at it a different way when they're held onto those beliefs that he's the one to blame? It's going to be difficult.
I'm sorry for sharing such personal personal things. I'm just realizing this is recorded, so I'm praying it doesn't.
That's all right, but we're not naming anybody.
Okay.
Oh, it is recorded.
Yeah.
I missed that as well. But it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Right. Anything else on this? Let it in.
I think love is the key. Love is
Yeah.
the key. And if you're surrounded by love, it helps you through when you
It
know it's love
it
from
is.
people.
It is. It is. It is indeed. And that's why I love the example that Johnson gave about someone who's recognized that love is holding them.
Mhm.
And yet, as we said, love is still the reason why it hurts.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
and for us not to shrink from that reality and context. I always say this when you don't want to accept, as Claudette was saying, what is, you're late already anyway, because it already is. So in order to allow you to process and move beyond it, you can't be resisting what is, because you're holding yourself back in the past of what is. It has happened already.
So,
It's to it's to it's to lean into it and accept that it's happening, acknowledge how you're feeling about it, but knowing that that too will pass. That's that whole idea. And I'm going to go through some of the lines just really to kind of put a fine point on it. Expanding the connected you. This whole idea of actually this is life and your ability to really feel with other people starts with your ability to feel what you are experiencing. So through compassion and empathy comes through the ability for yourself to be connected to your own experience.
Yeah, and I'm praying that very much for my family
Mm,
personally, because they would say to me, "Oh, this house isn't the same. Granddad's not here."
mm.
Yeah, and I'm trying to say to them, "Okay, the shepherd's not here, but the good shepherd's still here." But until they come to that recognition themselves, it
yeah.
they're holding it in, and they are letting it in, but they're not letting it out. If you know what I mean,
Yeah,
they're
I hear
not
you.
sharing so much. They're
I hear
and
you.
that's just personally, yeah.
Yeah, no, I hear that. And the other line here is alive to all that is here for you. And this is the one that people might struggle with a bit. That can you believe that love, pain, and grief are all here for you? Because we always would like to say love is here for me, but pain and grief is not here for me.
Yeah. So,
But it's life.
But that's my point. So if the one who with the universal wings has put you in a position where you're experiencing and having to face into those things, can you believe that that is here for you? That is the invitation. So you can feel it all too. The wisdom of the design that we have been given the capacity to process, not just love, but pain and grief.
okay, I agree.
Mm.
Mm.
I want to invite us really to just I'm going to go through the room and just say how is all of what we've talked about today pulled together? So not just kind of, but what are you seeing as a theme? What are you seeing that's popping out from what we've covered today? And I'll start with you, Claudia.
Thank you. I suppose it's about giving us some tools to cope, to travel through life,
Mm,
to understand our daily experiences and to understand our relationships with other people.
mm, I like that. I suppose that would be our mission overall, really.
Because I was thinking that's what we really need, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I hear that. Any
Yeah,
particular piece that stood out for you?
out of all, I like this one. Let it in.
Okay.
and this is kind of because I think because my daughter's going through some emotional turbulence at the moment,
Hmm.
but this will be something I've learned some things today that I could be able to talk to her about through this poem when I talk to her later on, which I think will be very helpful to her and to myself. Because you know, when your children are unsettled, it can unsettle you as well. So
Yeah.
I'll use it for myself too.
Yeah. I hear that. And that pulls us back to that profundity piece, right? The proximity to the expediency of your experience.
Yes.
Something you're experiencing now makes this stand out for you because you can
Yeah.
see how it can apply to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is the power of profundity.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. Muriel, what about you? What are you seeing as a theme and what stands out specifically in which of the pieces is popping for you right now?
I think understanding, trying to
Mm-hmm.
understand people,
Mm.
and like Claudette said about letting it in. Um, yeah, I'm still pondering on a lot of the things, but I do like the universal wink. I like a wink.
Universal wink. I like that too.
I'll be looking out for them.
I love that. You're looking out for the wink.
Is that a
Yeah.
wink with a smile?
Yeah, a smile. Yeah, a smile as well. Knowing smile. Yeah, I knew about that. You didn't know that. You were thinking this, that, and the other, but I knew that. uh, and it helps us not to take life too seriously because God can have a smile and a wink, you know.
Well, apparently this is Universal Laughter Day, so
I
I
did
could
not
tell
know that.
I could tell you a few jokes, but they're not really appropriate, really. But
I didn't know you had those in your arsenal either. You've shattered my whole illusion of you, Marie.
Oh.
I'm thinking the holy mistress of them all. Walk on
well,
holy ground, and you're
no,
telling me you have jokes that can't be shared?
well, no, no, no. Well, no. Okay, well, I was clearing out some of Wilbert's papers, and I found this joke that the faster pastor had sent him. You know, the chap that had the motorbike business, and he said this man went online, for a wife on, how they do it on these things, whatever they go on looking for a wife, and he had 100 replies, 100 men saying you can have mine.
100 men said he could have his wife.
Have
Okay, fair
mine,
enough.
take mine.
Oh, very funny. I like
Yeah,
that. I
it's
like that. That
funny.
was clever, actually, because it takes you sideways and you go boom, which
And
is
you
which
go,
is what
that's
makes it
right.
funny, I suppose.
Yeah, that's very
Thanks,
true.
Muriel. Johnson, what about you? What's the general theme that pops out at you in any specific piece that speaks to you?
Well, I presume is that I like the um winking at me with a smile.
Hmm.
And the reason why I said so is, and it's maybe true, not taking oneself too serious, is that even all these decisions we make, and
Hmm.
the good ones are the bad ones, is the wink is almost like from God. I have
Hmm.
still got your back.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
So through the pain, through the grief, through the love, through the bad decisions, through the good decision, even when you think I've lost hope, God
Hmm.
is winking at you saying, I've still got your back.
I love that. I love
Is
So,
kind of what I've seen through what we were going through today. Yeah.
that. Okay.
yeah, and they say that a smile is the same in any language.
I
You
love
don't
that
have to
too.
understand their language, you just smile.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I think did it say, I don't know if it was before or after, something that is it in service for my good
Yes,
or
in
something
service
like
of
that?
my highest good. That's the last line.
Yeah, of my
In
highest good.
service
Yeah,
of
yeah,
my
yeah.
highest good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Yeah, I
that's
love
where
that.
that win comes from. Yeah,
Great. Well, Johnson, I'm giving you the drop the mic moment then.
yeah,
Thank,
yeah.
thank you everyone for again being part of this experience, for your insights, for your questions, your sharing your experiences, and yeah, it's made it all the richer. And hopefully that was helpful for you. And yeah, look forward to the next one. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day.
And
Thank
you
you. I'll
too.
see you
You
guys.
too.
All right.
Bye, everyone.
God bless.
Bye.
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 Bye.